Hi, this is Mrs. Wiederholt, and welcome to my lesson video on conic sections, circles. Now let's get started. First, let's talk about the formula for the equation of a circle. We have x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, where the center of the circle is hk and the radius is r. Now, if you look at this graph right here, what can you tell about the axis of symmetry for a circle? Well, it has to go through the center of the circle. So if you look over here at our diagram again, this could be an axis of symmetry, this could be an axis of symmetry, this could be. And so, going to our next question, how many lines of symmetry are there? Well, there are infinitely many. As long as it goes through the center of the circle, your possibilities are endless as to what your axis of symmetry could be. Now let's do an example. We are going to graph a circle for the equation of x minus 5 squared plus y plus 1 squared equals 16. First, let's find the center. Now remember, the center is hk. So my h value would be positive 5 and my k value would be negative 1. Remember, you have to change the sign of the h and k value when they are inside the parentheses. And this is because the formula is x minus h and also in the formula is y minus k. So when you see y plus 1, that is y minus a negative 1. Now let's find the radius. Now remember, this number right here, 16, is r squared, or the radius squared. So if we want to know the radius of the circle, we just need to take the square root of 16. So our radius is 4. Now we have all the information we need to go ahead and graph this circle. So let's do that. First, I will plot the center of my circle. So I'm going to go from the origin, I'm going to go right 5 and down 1. So that's going to be the center. Now, in order to plot the parameter of my circle, I'm going to start from the center and I'm going to go 4 units left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now from the center, I'm going to go 4 units right. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm also going to do this, I'm going to go up from the center 4 units, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to go down from the center, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I have plotted enough points so that I can draw a fairly accurate circle. So let's try to do that. It's kind of hard, I'm not the best, but that's pretty good. So now let's recap how I got the circle drawn. I took the center, which was my h and k value, and I plotted it, positive 5, negative 1. Now the reason I went 4 units to the left, 4 units to the right, 4 units up, and 4 units down is because this right here is the radius, and our radius is 4 units. And now that we've drawn our circle, it's going to be very easy for us to find the domain and range. Now with circles, our domain and our range will never have infinity because as you can see, these curves, or the curves that make this circle, do not go on infinitely in one direction or another. We would call this a closed shape. So for our domain is we're literally saying, okay, we start here and we'll find this x value where it crosses the x-axis, which is x equals 1, and it goes all the way over to here, which would be x equals 9. So this domain would be from 1 to 9. And it can equal 1 and 9, so we want to put a bracket and not a parentheses. Now for the range, we're going to start at the bottom here, and this would be where y equals negative 5, and we're going up, and it goes up to here, where y equals 3. So here our range would be from -5 to +3. Whoops, and it's a bracket. Now let's write equations for two lines of symmetry. Okay, well first let's do a horizontal one. And this would go through the y-axis where y equals -1. So we could say y equals -1. That would be an axis or line of symmetry. Now let's do a vertical one. Now remember, it has to go through the center. And where does this one go through the x-axis? Where x equals 5. So this one would be x equals 5. Now, I would like to show you one more that may not be quite as obvious. Now remember, we said any line that goes through the center could be an axis or line of symmetry. So what if we had a line that went like this? That would be a line of symmetry. And here's the equation for that line. It would be y equals -x plus 4. Now this is just a linear equation where you would start where y equals 4 and you're just going down. Your slope, if you remember this, would be -1. So down 1, right 1. Down 1 to the right 1. And if you keep doing that, you'll see you end up right there at our center. So I just wanted to show you that with a circle, not all of your lines of symmetry are going to be vertical or horizontal. They might be a diagonal line. Now let's do another example. Now in this example, it says to find the equation and graph a circle centered on the origin with a radius of 6. So this time we're not basing our graph on an equation. We're going to draw our graph based on this information and then write the equation. Okay, so it says that the center of the circle is at the origin. So I'm going to draw my dot at the origin for the center. And it says it has a radius of 6. So from the center, I'm going to go to the left 6, right 6, up 6, and down 6. Now I'm ready to draw my circle. Okay, that's not too bad. Now, let's go ahead, before we write the equation, let's go ahead and state the center. We know that it is 0, 0. And we also know that the radius of the circle is 6. So now let's write the equation. We have x minus 0, because remember it's minus the h value, squared, plus y minus 0, because that's the k value, squared, and that's going to equal the radius squared. Well, our radius is 6. I guess we could just put 6 squared for right now. Because our h and k values are zeros, we could actually simplify this. And so it would simply be x squared, because x minus 0 is x, plus y squared, because y minus 0 is y, equals 36. So this would be the equation for this circle. Now we're ready to state the domain. Now remember, we go from the left to the right. And so we want to use our x-coordinates. So it starts, our x-coordinate on the left side of this circle is at -6. And it goes from -6 all the way to +6. Now let's define the range. We start here at the bottom. So this y value would be -6. And we're going to go all the way to the top of the circle, and that y value is +6. So our range is also in this circle, -6 to +6. Now we can write our equations for the two lines of symmetry, and I'm just going to let you know we're going to do a third one also. So let's do the first one. Let's do a horizontal one. It could be, I'm going to show it right here. This would be one line or axis of symmetry, y equals 0. Another one might be, This one right here. Again, remember it has to go through the center. That one would be x equals 0. And now for a third one. Let's see here. The third one, see if I can draw this accurately, would actually go through the origin, the center of the circle, and it would be y equals negative x. Now let's do one more example. Now again, in this example, we're going to find the equation and graph a circle that is centered at 4, -3 with a radius of 5. Meaning they're not giving us an equation, they're just giving us the center and the radius. We will graph the circle and then we'll come up with the equation. First, I will plot the center of my circle. Now I will plot the 4 points that represent the radius. And now I'm ready to draw my circle. Now before I write my equation, I'm going to go ahead and write that my center is 4, -3, and my radius is 5. Now let's write the equation. We're going to start out with x minus 4 squared plus y plus 3 squared is equal to 5 squared, which is 25. Now that we've done that, we're ready to state our domain and range. First, let's do the domain. If I start over here on the left side of the circle, this would be where x is -1. So that means my domain will start at -1 and it will go all the way to right here where x is 9. So that's the domain of my circle. Now for the range. We will start here at the bottom of the circle where y equals -8. And then we will go up until we get to the top of the circle where y equals 2. So that is the range of my circle. Now let's state our lines of symmetry. We can have a horizontal line of symmetry that would go through the y-axis where y equals, let's see, where y equals, is that -3? 4, 5, 6, yep, -3. So we would have one that's y equals -3. Now we can have a vertical line of symmetry, which would be x equals 4, because it goes right through the center of that circle. Now let's find a diagonal line of symmetry, or axis of symmetry. Now I'm going to show you how I have come up with the other equations too. Start here at the center, and I'm just going to go up one to the left one, up one to the left one. And I'm going to keep doing this until I get to the y-axis. And so it's going to touch the y-axis where y equals 1. And this will be a negative, going in a negative direction. So this line of symmetry would be y equals -x plus 1. Now, I have shown you a lot in this video about circles. So if you need to re-watch it, or if you need to pause and look at it for a few minutes, please don't hesitate to do so. I hope this video has helped, and I look forward to working with you again. Bye-bye.